Ashley don't be playing.
No, because it ain't time to play.
She be out there with a belt and a baseball bat. Like, I wish you would.
Yeah, she be looking cute. Like, she looks soft and cute, but
don't
she
let
probably
it fool
be.
you.
No, she be the main one. He'd be coming to school like, hey, y'all.
Yeah, okay.
Hey, y'all, I'm Eboni K. Williams here, host and attorney extraordinaire. Welcome to Holding Court, where we analyze the very latest in legal headlines, the ones that got all the streets talking. You know what we do? We dig deep into how the courts impact the culture. We break it down, going straight from gavel to your news feed. And every week, we keep it 100. Right, Dustin Ross?
That's right.
Oh, God. All right, y'all. Listen, you can tell by the giggles Dustin and I coming in with. It's been a good one. But this one, we're going to get straight to the episode because it's a doozy. It's a doozy of a docket. We want to start with the good high court. Supreme Court rejecting. This was surprising for some. Some people say even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
Listen, the Supreme Court rejects a challenge to the abortion pill access. So we'll talk about maybe why that is the case and what else we need to look for, Dustin, as we continue to watch this particular court and how they handle women's reproductive health, because it must be watched, carefully. Also, this was an interesting one coming off of the heels of a story we just covered on Holding Court involving a good sister who was denied a condo that she tried to buy. And not even 24 hours after we covered that story, veteran actor, Tony Award nominated actor Wendell Pierce.
That's right.
And I really have much love for Wendell Pierce, that I'll talk about what he does in the community, what he does for New Orleans. This brother is just beyond his thespian genius, is an activist. And this part does not surprise us not. Wendell Pierce shared a story of him being denied a rental right in our neighborhood. Dustin and I both live in Harlem, New York. And Harlem has denied Wendell Pierce an apartment, not even a condo. This man was trying to rent an apartment in Harlem, and he was denied. One guess as to why. And finally, y'all, Deion Sanders' son. Some of y'all have probably been reading about this last case on the periphery. Deion Sanders' son. His kids are very active these days. I'm just realizing because his daughter, did she just have her baby?
She's having a baby.
She's having a baby. I know he's got two sons at University of Colorado with him. And also one of those sons, I believe, has filed a request for bankruptcy. And apparently a judge has denied Deion Sanders' son's request to dismiss the bankruptcy case, rather. So the son was wanting to have the bankruptcy case dismissed, and the judge said, not on my watch. So we're going to get into all of that and a little bit more this episode of Holding Court.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to start with the fact that the Supreme Court, United States Supreme Court, has rejected a challenge about the abortion pill and women's access to it. So a group of anti-abortion doctors, this group is called the Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine. You got to just laugh at that name, right? Baby,
first of all, I'm not even going to start because we'll have a pivot here that we don't need to have. So
are you sure we don't need to have it, though?
I'm sure because I the whole lot of them, okay? I'm so tired of these people who are putting up these meaningless fights and just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what's going to stick when it comes to imposing their conservative, not even conservative, their archaic ideology on everybody else.
Yeah, and I like that you called out the faux conservatism of it all, right? Because I'm not even gonna give, because actually I know, and you do too, actual conservatives. And I'm old enough to remember when conservatism was supposed to be about small government and supposed to be about limited fiscal spending from the government. That was what was supposed to define you as a conservative.
Yeah.
But my God, y'all will spend the bag to roll back basic human dignity rights. So I'm not even gonna give you conservative no more. I'm gonna just give you hypocrite.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where we left off right here, that Hippocratic medicine. This group challenged the FDA's decision providing for increased accessibility to abortion pills. I want to get back to that in a second. So this is actually more usual than people realize, Dustin, and that is the fact that many of these decisions that come before the United States Supreme Court are decided unanimously. Actually, it's only the ones that we hear about, the high profile ones that are 5-4 or 6-3, and they do happen, but a lot of these decisions are by unanimous vote. This was one of those examples. Unanimous vote. That means Kavanaugh and all of them. That means Amy Coney Barrett and all of them. Neil Gorsuch and all of them said that the anti-abortion doctors who bought the challenge failed to show that they had been harmed. Okay, and that's one of the requirements. It's called standing. You've got to show that you have been harmed directly by whatever thing you're trying to fight or challenge. They had failed to do that because they don't even prescribe this medicine. So you are literally out of order per a quote conservative majority, Republican appointed majority Supreme Court.
You know how raggedy this had to be for those people to say this ain't gonna work.
That's a good point.
I mean, you really must have went in there with
You tried it with the utmost of audacity.
I mean, my God.
Cause listen, John Roberts said,
For that court,
correct,
to say unanimously that this was a failure, this must have really been sloppy.
Y'all must have really tried it. I mean, let me give you this to just on top of that. Kavanaugh, child, Brett Kavanaugh, the accused sexual violator, deviant is a better word. Writing for the whole court. You know, somebody got to always write that majority opinion. Here he go. He said, let me take a stab at it.
He sure did, didn't he?
Let me stop. Anyway, that was terrible. I'm sorry, y'all. He said, Kavanaugh said that he dismissed every conceivable argument that this anti-abortion doctors group had advanced, claiming that they had the right to sue. So Kavanaugh said, absolutely not. And to Dustin's point, y'all, I want you to put that in context of this isn't Elena Kagan. This is not Ruth Bader Ginsburg. May she rest in peace. This is not our dear sister from the Bronx, Sonia Sotomayor.
Yes, yep.
This is Kavanaugh, child. The same one was up there crying at that hearing.
That shouldn't be there in the first place.
That part. That's why he was crying. And Kamala got in that.
You want to talk about out of order.
Listen, and even he said, y'all tried it. The group said that there is statistically a possibility that some physicians will be called upon to treat emergency room patients suffering from complications after taking the abortion pill. But see, that's the problem. Shit, I didn't even need to be on the Supreme Court. I could have kicked this shit out of court. Because the problem is you're talking about some physicians might, woulda, shoulda, coulda one day. That's not legal standing to afford you the ability to file action in the Supreme Court or really any court because you lack standing.
It's so stupid.
It's almost like these people didn't go to law school. Ugh.
I've never understood this whole argument anyway, because if you don't want to, don't get an abortion. I
mean, it's actually simple.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's it to you what these other people are doing?
So we got a lot of good talking points here, but I'm going to skip them because they actually are irrelevant. We just gave you what you need to know about the case. It don't even matter what y'all talking about because you have no legal standing. None. You don't write the prescription for this drug. And even Brett Kavanaugh say get out of the courtroom with it. So that's what you need to know. But Dustin, you make a good question. Why so much obsession from these groups, these anti-abortion groups specifically? I mean, there's even arguments coming through the pipeline from various courts all across the country around, forget abortion pills, just birth control pills, just basic contraception, you know, because that's one argument logically, right? If you don't want women getting abortions, or as, what's this stupid name I had a big old argument with on Fox News, Ben Shapiro. Well, Ebony, you know, there's a lot of people that use, that's what he sounded like. Y'all can look this up. Google Eboni K. Williams and Ben Shapiro at Fox News. You'll see this shit plain as day. It was a hot ass mess. You know, well, Ebony, I mean, you know, but maybe some many liberals should stop using abortion as birth control. I said, show me one statistical fact, Ben, where you can tell me that has happened. Anyway, right. So that if that's the argument, we don't want you scandalous, sin-filled, lustful, promiscuous women using abortion as birth control, then y'all should be giving away birth control on the street corners.
That's how you know it's never about that.
So that's obviously, right? Obviously. So what is it about? What could this really be about, Dustin? I have a theory. It's going to be a little spicy.
Come on with it.
But this is what I really believe. I really don't believe it's about morals in this way. I don't think it's about values in that way. I think this is about a segment of men and women who depend on those particular types of men who are angry, tired of, and really upset. Like they're just an upsettedness, Dustin, with the fact that they now live in a world in 2024, and they've been living in a world since the 1970s, which is when we got Roe v. Wade. And I don't think it's okay. I want to go back in time. Let's go to the 70s. When we got Roe v. Wade, and we got not only abortion, but you started really seeing the popularity of contraceptions and birth control pills and, all these things, where you now have a mechanism, a few different mechanisms actually, where women and pregnancy now involve choice and decision and planning, which is why they hate Planned Parenthood so much, right? Because that happens to be around, let me think about it, Dustin. Was that around the same exact time that we started seeing a lot more women in med school and law school and college and becoming executives on Wall Street? And well, what were they doing? Were they competing with, and dare we say, beating out some of these men and taking their slots, as I've heard them say? Well, you took a slot in med school. You took a slot in law school. You took a slot from the MBA program. You took a slot from basic college admissions. And when you take those slots, you make it harder for me and my mediocrity. Is that it? You make it harder for me and my mediocrity to stay in a position of default admissions, ascension, graduation, and income. Because, see, again, just like anything else in life, y'all, follow the money.
Follow the damn money.
This is all about money.
Yep.
And this is all about white men mainly. But when you start seeing the brothers that look like you and I tap into this argument, it's for the same reason. Because, and I really hate to see it with black men and men of color, because y'all are saying that, as much as y'all have and will continue to be discriminated against by these same systems of white patriarchal heteronormity, you still would rather your crumbs. Yeah. Right? The crumbs that you get, the leftover seats that they let you have, quote, let you have, than having to compete broadly with women and broadly with black women. So if you can put a system back in place that we had in place for a long time that said that women, by virtue of biological existence, need to be slowed down, because that's really how y'all see it. And this is why, what's your stupid ass kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs with his dumb ass?
God.
Fuck his name. I don't need it. But it's, you know what I mean? I'm just recalling, that stupid ass commencement speech he gave, where he, chastised the women who were graduating that day and boldly reminded them that your real life's work belongs in your uterus and take your ass back to the kitchen. I mean, this is what's being said in broad daylight in 2024. And in this way, I appreciate the honesty. Yeah. Because that's really the perspective. What we are not talking about no Catholicism. We ain't talking about no right to, it ain't about none of that. This is about a community of men that finally in 2024 is saying, we are tired of pretending to be the good guy. We are tired of pretending to be the advocates of equality, because the influx of women, and I'm really telling you, it's these black women dominating. Because who is the largest demographic, Dustin, of college attendees? Black women. Who is the largest demographic of newly owned and operated businesses in America? Black women, followed by Latina women. So y'all are really, really done with this so-called experiment of gender equality, because it has pushed you to the point of having to compete. Yeah. Academically, intellectually, in terms of work ethic, in a way that you don't feel you should have to. And you are looking at your previous generations. You're listening to your grandpappies and your great-grandpappies say, well, I wouldn't know about what y'all talking about, because we didn't have no women at Yale Law in my day. Yeah. We didn't have no women at Meharry Medical School back in my day. We didn't have, them broads knew their place back in my day. And they're getting lustful of a bygone era where they were able to just coast on the value of being men and the default posture and positioning of where society told them they belonged. And now you got this Roe v. Wade, you got this birth control, you got these abortion access points, and they have made it too murky, Dustin, where now you've got to compete with these damn women, and you don't feel like you have to, and you are mad about it. That's what I really think the whole thing is about. I don't think it's about anything but that.
The male ego.
The male ego and the male entitlement. With that ego.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
This says that y'all bitches done forgot yourselves. Really? And you done forgot what God has biologically ordained to be your actual positioning. And you done got caught up with all this so-called feminism and feminist rhetoric and politics of liberalism. Let me. And then if you are a woman that finds yourself enamored with this Bridgerton era shit, and I shout out to Bridgerton because I do enjoy it.
Handmaid's Tale.
Listen.
That's where they're trying to have
it. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Because it's one step from the other. They're saying if you remember yourselves and you too romanticize your life on the lily pad, okay, where you can live this soft. That's why I don't really eat that soft girl. Nah, fuck that shit. Give me the hard woman life where I know where my bread is buttered. That's right. And my bills are paid.
That's right.
I'm not going to sleep.
Everybody doesn't want that. Everybody doesn't want to just sit back. You know,
everybody can't just sit back. Can we tell the truth about that? How can we talk about it's a reason why, in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy was led to the poppy fields to take a nap and relax. Are y'all ready to go there? You think about it. That lure, that romanticization of just relax and chill and all that. Just look at that deep. But anyways, the point I'm making is I believe that the why, Dustin, around all of this reproductive rights shit has nothing to do with sex. I think it started maybe that way, and I used to argue that, right? Like they're trying to be the moral police. They're trying to legislate sex and morality. Nah, I don't think they give a fuck who anybody's fucking at all. Yeah. What they care about is taking women out of the pool of competitive candidates, starting with higher education, but going all the way up to corporate America, entrepreneurship, pockets of government. You think they like the fact that even, I think it might be 20% of Congress is women, mostly white.
They hate it.
Bitches, get back in your place. Yep. Go back to the moral high ground that God put you on this earth to do, which is birth our children. And shout out, I'm pregnant now. But when I think about, Dustin, the messaging I want to make sure I teach my daughter is if that's what you want to do in terms of stay-at-home mom or primary caretaker, I love that for you. But just know, don't do it to appease a male ego. I've heard that. You know how many women are positioned right now, Dustin, to buy homes and are not? Because they do not want to disrupt a power structure that says, well, this goes back to Sex and the City. I mean, we saw it there, but this goes back to the beginning of this, right? If I own and he doesn't, it messes up the power dynamic.
That is so
crazy. And I've heard that. But then my question is, because you know me, I don't give a fuck. Well, why the fuck don't you own? Yeah. If I own. Yeah. If I have been able to, and not just me, Ebony, but me and my sisters, me and my sorors, me and the women that I know, and not all of them, but many of them, if they position themselves to be fiscally fit enough to, if they choose to own or they choose to have other assets, which means that they have, in my social circle's case, defied the odds of anti-blackness. They've defied the odds of misogyny. They've oftentimes defied the odds of many poverty and many other of the things that hold people down all the time, and they've pierced those challenges to be in positions of success that have allowed them into these spaces. Why haven't you? It's a real question.
I hear that, and I hear people say things that are similar to that, and then I look at the examples of the men in my life. I look at men like my brother, and the way that he loves his wife and supports her. Oh, she's gone so far, you know what I mean, and done so many great things professionally in his career, and he supported her along the way. That part. I don't come from men who try to keep their wives down or keep their women back. So seeing that in live, take place in front of my face is wild to me.
Well, thank God for that. And I'm glad you said that. I was having a conversation with a gentleman. He's someone y'all know. he's not in entertainment. He's in a different vertical, but one that really makes a huge difference in our lives as Black folk and all of this and our children. And he's a married man as well. And I said something similar to him that I just said to you, like, these. It's like, these types of men. He said, Eboni, I don't. And it shocked the shit out of me because he's a grown ass man. This man's probably in his early 50s. And he said, no, Eboni, I'm not around those kind of men. He said, because if you're the kind of man, especially if you're the kind of Black man that needs to kind of live on your knees to be tall, you wouldn't be around me. And I felt that in my spirit.
Yeah.
And I love that you are naming a very different kind of lens for Black men specifically that does exist and exist in quantity.
Seriously.
And it's important because I think sometimes I get behind the mic and I'm kind of limited to, a lot of what I see and a lot of what I hear. And, we all live, as you've acknowledged, in some level of bubble.
Yeah.
Some level of bubble. And I can see what my bubble is. A bunch of bossed up ass, educated Black women. That's my bubble.
That's a good bubble, girl.
It's a really attractive bubble. It's a nice bubble.
I've seen it. I just saw it.
But beyond that bubble, you too have a bubble. And in your bubble, and in this Black man's bubble I was talking about, y'all are surrounded by Black men and men, but Black men who show up, who exist in a maximum capacity, and they don't function from scarcity. No. And they don't live on their knees to be tall. They just are tall. Right? I'm actually trying to get over there in that bubble, but go ahead.
It's plenty wrong. I see men that support their wives in that way. I see Black men that support their women in that way. Yes. And I come from a family where the women are very independent, very driven, very accomplished. And so women having, full control over their lives is not a foreign concept to me. I think that that's the way shit is supposed to be.
And it's not threatening to true alpha. Since everybody want to be an alpha man, everybody want to be, what they call them? A high value
man. That's right.
Who child? So to the actual high value man, because you are a high value man. Your uncle, your brother,
my brother,
your brother, high value man. This man I was talking to around the business of educating our children. Just to be clear, the context of what this meeting was about. A high value man. He looked at me like I was crazy when I was talking about that, limitation shit. He said, "Because my wife and me." He's like, Eboni, I operate at such a high level, there is no such thing as threatening to me. And so when you're really functioning, man, listen, I was sitting there eating that kale salad like, this is what we need more of. The whole community needs more of this.
I love hearing things like that.
Absolutely. And I know he's not alone. I know you're not alone. Your brother's not alone. So if we could just, and I guess what's happening is those men, frankly, let me just go ahead and say the truth and shame the devil. Y'all are actually too busy working and engaging in your community, so you're not sitting around in the comment section on grown women's pages. That's why we're not probably hearing it as much. Y'all are not buying podcast microphones and sitting in coat closets. No, but for real. Like, can we just name that piece? So that is probably, my bubble is probably misconstruing some of this dynamic between us and the support we actually do get from Black men, because the vocal minority is dominating the narrative. Meanwhile, the very many Black men who are so in leadership, who are so in position to not just support, like, baby, you got it, but like, be of substantive support.
Yes.
Like, give me your foot.
Yes.
Darling.
Yes.
Wife, sister, little sis.
Yes.
Cousin. Let me get, because society has privileged me as a man, and when I do that, I'm not worried about when I'm going to get it back, because the nature of Black family and community shows me that I get it back every time.
Thank you. And it's that simple. You know what I mean? So while that does exist, that profile of that, these men who have this way of thinking that is hazardous.
Yeah. to everybody's
women,
health. To everybody's health. Because who be taking care of y'all when y'all sicken up?
We need to just let y'all go. That's the problem. So since you want it like that, then you on your own,
go on to glory. But that's not how we are as Black women, thank God. But
y'all always saving the day.
Well, some of them do. Yeah, but
some. Because Because I know she gone. I'm still mad about them diamond and silk bitches. I don't care what nobody
I forgot. I totally forgot about
I'm
them.
sorry to remind you.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. But yeah, so some. We'll say some. But that's it. That's all on that. So as much as... So y'all just remember, because you will continue to see these headlines play out, especially as we get closer to this election. Mm-hmm. We're going to see more and more anti-abortion this, anti-contraception this, more of these little stupid ass speeches from dumbasses who weren't even asked to speak on these things. Just know that it's very likely the backdrop of that sentiment. Yeah. You know, if we could get these women out of orbit, if we could get them out of the ecosystem, if we can get them out of the way, then we get to show up in a more mediocre posture as men broadly. But really, again, brothers, don't be fooled by this, because this is a system for white men and and the white women that rely upon them. See this again. So many of my brilliant black sisters in politics and political leadership, you know, I'm puzzled by the white women that vote against their interests. Sis, they're not voting against their interest. Hello. They're voting towards their interest because they are some either probably lazy, stupid, or a combination of both. Lily pad wanting to be sitting ass bitches, and they know that the best way for them and their progeny and their children to have a halfway decent life is to position their white mediocre husbands as best they can. So they're voting their interest. Stop assuming all white women are for the betterment of their individual positioning. They are not. No. Some, but not all. Not even most. Probably not most. Per the numbers. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm talking about voter turnout. Those numbers. Okay. I'm probably going to, let's go ahead and hop off it right quick. That needs a whole episode. Yeah. That conversation needs an entire episode, because there's a lot I want to say right now. Yeah. Let us move on to Brother Wendell Pierce. But just know that we laid some foundation in that segment for something that we're going to come back to in a future episode. Yes. Okay. Let's go to Harlem. So I was really not surprised, Dustin, but disheartened to read this headline. Number one, I have a lot of admiration for Wendell Pierce. Speaking of black men of high value that show up in leadership for their community. And what I'm talking about, if y'all are not familiar now, y'all know Wendell Pierce. Some of you you should know him by name. Let's be clear, because he has earned that. But sometimes there are these kind of, I don't want to say journeymen and women actresses and thespians, Dustin, but these people that work so frequently in roles that might not be marquee, so to speak, but we see them all the time. So, and he's definitely one of those. He's that, yeah. So y'all know him as the Bunk from The Wire. Some of y'all know him. Y'all have just discovered Suits. I'm a day one Suits watcher. So he played Meghan Markle's character, Rachel Zane's father in Suits. Waiting to exhale. Oh, definitely. I can give you everything you need and more. You know, he was that dude. Oh, you want to do your job? You'll never get another whiff of this again. He's that guy. Classic. Yes. He's that gentleman from Waiting to Exhale. He's just like in everything. Honestly, he was in Malcolm X. Get your hand out of my pocket. Yeah, exactly. So we could be here all day, as you can see. Yep. Wendell Pierce is that dude. Yeah. Period. Natalie, shout out to Hey Natalie. Look, we love you, Natalie. She literally blushes with her melanated ass. That's my girl. Every time you say that. We love you, Natalie. Cute. Natalie and I got to see him in Death of a Salesman, where he was I don't care what nobody say, it's over now. He was the only bright light. But when Wendell came on that stage, you know, the show run is over. I don't give a fuck. And he was so much, he literally carried that show on his back, Dustin, to the point where he was nominated for a Tony, which sadly, very few black actors are nominated for that lead actor Tony, but he was just brilliant. In addition to all of that, Wendell Pierce is a son of New Orleans, New Orleans. One of my favorite places in the world. Particularly of the Treme section. Oh, he was also in the HBO series Treme, which was great and underrated. So fuck y'all, go watch it. It was excellent. Anyway, I kind of have an attitude about how good it was and how people slept on that shit. You know, sidebar. Please. Very small. Please. You know what show I'm still pissed off about? I don't even know if you watched it. Did you watch Hawthorne? It was like a medical joke with Jada Pinkett and Mark Anthony. Yes. And people did sleep on Hawthorne. I'm still mad about Hawthorne. Every time I even think about it, I'm mad. There's so many good shows. Peacock. I would hope so. Yeah, there's so many good shows that have gone
by the wayside. Yeah. I know that was some bullshit. No, but that was some bullshit. Also, Uncoupled. Anyway, we need to do a whole episode about this.
Yes,
because that show was great.
And they keep tugging,
and they keep faking.
Like, come on. Anyway, Tisha Campbell and
oh my God,
how you gonna lose with that?
That's a winning combination.
Television royalty,
literally
royalty.
Both child actresses made good and actors made good. Okay.
Anyway,
Wendell Pierce.
Yes.
I'm not gonna, you about to get my blood all excitable. Wendell Pierce, being a son of New Orleans, post Katrina, really during Katrina and post Katrina, this man went in his pocket and also raised funds to open grocery stores. I guess I'm so touched by it, and it was so real to me because I was down there. I was a second-year law student when Katrina hit, and I lived in post-Katrina New Orleans. For 6 months, y'all, I did not have a refrigerator. We were only allowed to go to the grocery store on certain days, like depending on where you lived. They're like, okay, you can go on Tuesdays, ma'am. You can go on Wednesdays. Like, that's what it was because there was not enough produce. It was hard to get trucks down there. This was life for a couple of years in New Orleans. I need people to know that. And Wendell Pierce rolled up his sleeves, literally, and he was out there and he procured it and he bought produce. And how a people eats is how a people lives.
Absolutely.
And so I just I don't play when it comes to Wendell Pierce, is what y'all are hearing in my voice. Anyways, this man, again, because he works so frequently, needed to be in New York for a project. And as such, was looking to rent an apartment in Harlem and was turned down. This is what he said on Twitter. Racism and bigots are real. There are those who will do anything to destroy life's journey for Black folks. When you deny our personal experiences, you are as vile and despicable. I'm on 2 TV series right now, Elizabeth and Raising Kanan. I'm filming Superman. 2 years ago, I finished the 4th season of Jack Ryan. Like he said, just let me run this resume down.
Right.
You act like you don't know who the fuck I am. Right. I just finished a run on Broadway in Death of a Salesman. Even with my proof of employment, bank statements, which I'm sure were not small.
Okay.
And real estate holdings. This man said I had assets.
Yes.
A white apartment owner denied my application to rent the apartment in Harlem, of all places. I want to stop right there. So let's talk about Harlem for a second. I've been running my mouth a lot. You've lived in Harlem longer than I have. Talk a little bit about why Harlem for you, what was significant about it, and what is it like for you to live as a Black man in Harlem today?
Yeah, well, it's a dream living in Harlem, first of all, and it was very important to me to kind of plant my roots there as I was looking in. And I've lived in different areas of New York City, but Harlem is where I felt the most at home.
Why?
Let's not even scratch the surface of the cultural significance of Harlem, the Black Renaissance, of just Black people doing well in Harlem, and that being the heartbeat of the neighborhood. Being around other Black professionals and having community in that way. There's living in Harlem, there's an enrichment, you know what I'm saying, that takes place. It's just culturally significant. So these are very real elements that contribute to the feeling of living and the experience of living in Harlem.
Absolutely.
That's why. And so that's why it's even more of a slap in the and there's a lot of Black people who are doing well and living in Harlem.
Absolutely.
So it's a huge
and owning Strivers Row. I mean, it's a whole
Look at
row.
the name of it. Strivers Row.
And historically and today, well, shit, that's so let's talk about that.
And those are beautiful brownstones.
Yeah, when I get my money right like I want it to be. That's one of my striving points, literally, to buy at this point, because I actually follow the real estate. You got to bring you about $4 or $5 million.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
If you're trying to buy a full brownstone
on Strivers Row. Yeah.
And that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Go to Street Easy. Anyway, I'm serious. Yeah. So that's what it is. And then it's the names, you know, that many of us know, the Harlem Renaissance figures and Langston Hughes and his townhouse over there by Riverside and all that. But it's also, like we're saying, it's 3 generations of Black dentists. It's the first Black doctors from Harlem Hospital. Also, you know, shout out to the legacy organizations of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, the Links Incorporated. Somehow, some way, we all of us, no matter where, you know, we have our little fun with each other, but everybody's service somehow finds itself back in Harlem.
Absolutely.
So Harlem is big in that way. Yet Harlem is being gentrified. It has been being gentrified for the better part of at least 10 years, but let's say 20.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So talk to me about what that has looked like through your, because you've lived in Harlem how long, Dustin?
4 years.
Oh, you've been in Harlem 4 years. Okay.
No.
So that's not true. 5. Okay.
5, yep.
I've actually been in Harlem on and off 10. So I would say 8 because I took a 2-year hiatus to Tribeca. Hated it. Anyway, no problem, but it was a little too commercial for me. So back to Harlem, I am and own. And I have seen, I remember this one particular night, I was again with Nat and we were watching football at Harlem's Tavern. And it was a game. And I don't play about football. I don't play about nothing I'm interested in.
Yeah, there's passion.
There was a little passion there. And I remember these white people at the bar were like, oh my God, she's yelling. Like talking to each other because you don't talk to me, bitch. But, oh my God, she's yelling. I can't hear. And I remember I might have had a couple.
He was at the tavern.
Shout out to the tavern.
Yeah.
And I was like, ma'am, if it's too fucking loud in here, maybe you could take your ass back to Soho.
That's right.
No, like for real. You brought your white ass to Harlem. And we are in Harlem Tavern. And the game is on. And if your sensibilities are bothered, you can go to the Lower East Side.
I have a story.
Please share. It's story time.
So it's no secret that I like to entertain.
Oh, yeah.
In my apartment, I've had,
It's actually giving James Baldwin vibes. It is.
It's a good time.
You can see it's like Lorraine Hansberry and Nina Simone. Like, it's just that. It's that. Okay. Yeah.
But this particular day, I was in my apartment drawing on a whiteboard, planning a project with someone, right?
Not a whiteboard, child. Go ahead. I'm listening. So
that means
I'm
business,
listening. Right. That's like the white paper. Go
Literally,
ahead.
like the apartment is silent. We're in there going over we're in there working on a project. I get a knock at my door. Now, mind you, there's been an influx of new residents in my building. So this is the
gentrification we're talking about, right?
I open my door, and again, like I have house parties and shit all the time.
Yeah. You're a beautiful space, by the way. You have a large apartment, so go ahead.
This particular day, I was working, right? TV off, music off. We're focused on the project. I hear a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anybody, so I ask my, the person to hold on. I go to the door, I open the door, and it's a lady standing at my door. She was white, wearing medical scrubs.
Okay.
And I opened my door. I said, hello. Can you turn your music down, please? Now, mind you,
you don't even have no music on at all.
And the way she said it, the way she was approaching it, pissed me off. So I cussed her ass out. And here's why. Number one, there was no music on.
Literally.
Number two, don't feel comfortable
at all
knocking on my door asking me anything. You don't need to feel comfortable to come over here and do that. And so I went on and just packaged her up. Now, I'll tell you after the show what I said.
I can't wait.
But the point is,
she was handled.
And I haven't seen her since.
And you won't.
Okay? Don't come around here very much in the same spirit of the patrons of Harlem Tavern that were at the bar with you.
Out of order.
You don't come in here.
Correct.
And get to determine how this goes.
You brought your ass up the
That's
street.
What you did. So deal with it.
Of all places.
Yeah.
I'm not going to share too many details, but you know where I live. Obviously, you've been there several times. Again, in Central Harlem, this ain't Soha or whatever.
New shit they call it.
No, we live in Harlem.
Yes, Harlem proper.
Proper. And a fellow owner in my building happens to be a black man. And when I tell you this black man texted me just last week, we in the year 2024, I want to remind everybody. Because, these episodes are going to live forever.
They are.
And so I know some of y'all are going to be listening in 2042.
That's right. Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. Hey. 2024, this black man who owns a damn near $1 million condo in Harlem was racially profiled in our building that we own in. Because not everybody owns it. Some of y'all are renting. Many of these whites and others are renting units that are owned by other people. So one could argue you are a guest of sorts.
Literally, by definition.
And this black owner in my building, Dustin, was profiled to the point where this black man had to reach out to me and say, sis, what is the, he had to get some information because he needed to now report
In a formal capacity.
In a formal capacity, which we're good at because we do stand on business.
Stop playing.
When we're paying this much money, we're paying this much in common area fees, we're paying this much in taxes, and you want to run my credentials in a place that I own?
Are you out your mind?
So back to Wendell.
Yeah.
That's what the man means. Because some people, have never even been to Harlem that are reading this story. Because this is a national story. It's a national figure. When he says Harlem of all places, that's why Dustin and I just took a minute to break that down for you, what he's talking about.
That's what of all places
Of all places is. He went on to tell CNN that he had taken a relative who had recently graduated from Howard apartment hunting to make sure he got a decent apartment. And I was backing him up even after offering the unnamed landlord, this is the white person, a year's rent in advance. Because again, this is a wealthy man, okay? Not that you should have to be, by the way, but he happens to be. He said, listen, I'm going to pay you a rent a year in advance. He was still told that because he was an actor, he could not show steady, consistent employment. Wendell Pierce said, I realized the application was designed that way to be discriminatory.
Yes.
Because he's brilliant. He said he explained that he wanted to show the damaging effect of when bigotry is memorialized in law. He is such a
I'm so glad
brilliant
he's talking
figure.
about this too.
All I know is this very wealthy black man, this very known black man, was turned away from Harlem's doorstep. And it is indicative of a larger problem. This is why it's important for black folks to own in Harlem, too. Because the reason that Wendell Pierce was turned away, because I know I would never turn Brother Wendell Pierce away if he tried to. Matter of fact, Wendell Pierce, if you're listening.
Okay.
And you are still looking to rent an apartment in Harlem.
Holler at your girl.
Holler at your girl, Eboni K. Williams. The DMs are open for business, okay? The rest of you riffraff, you stay out of my DMs.
That's right.
But for the business...
Come on in.
Come on.
The doors of the DM are open. Come on over, baby. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So that is important to just leave with. Obviously, horrible thing that happened to Wendell Pierce. It happens every day. I've told my story a million times, y'all. I mean, I barely got through underwriting on my condo, and I am far from poor, and I'm certainly known. I mean, my underwriter, who was a white woman, was like, "I'm a huge fan." ... Having trouble getting you approved because of, because you don't work for the city, because you don't work at Citibank, because we don't. Stop playing with black folks.
Stop.
And that is also a call to action to black people. When you are finally in a position to buy or own, really think about what it looks like to commit to ownership in historically black neighborhoods.
For sure.
Because these white people are buying the block. They are. That's why Dustin getting knocks on the door. That's why my black male neighbor is being racially profiled in our building. That's why I could barely fucking qualify for my own mortgage. Even though I was qualified financially 5 times over.
Yes.
Okay? This is important. We have to fight those discriminatory practices. We have to fight the intention of us not remaining in our own spaces because of when the time comes, we gotta stand 10 toes down and stand in the power of ownership. And this is why I talk about it so much, y'all. Because had that been a black landlord Wendell Pierce was trying to rent from, God would hope he would have found himself in a different situation.
For sure. And much love to Brother Wendell. Very much so. Okay. Ashley Hobbs, our senior producer, is mad at us. She mad at me. She told me to move on. Okay. I just had to, how I feel about Harlem. I get on. Yes. I get riled up. That's right. Okay. We'll make this one brief. All right, y'all. So Deion Sanders, y'all know he has a few kids, but one son, Shiloh Sanders, has filed for bankruptcy. Young Shiloh is saying that he has debts that have incurred, particularly when he was in a default judgment in 2022. He was in a civil lawsuit. Normally when there's a default judgment, that probably means you just didn't come to court, which is never a good idea. So a security guard from Shiloh Sanders' high school, the security guard's name is John Darjan, probably, had filed a suit claiming to have suffered permanent damages. Oh, this is not good. Permanent damages as a result from an alleged assault that he endured by the hands of Shiloh Sanders. This is all back in 2015. So this is almost 10 years ago. Shiloh didn't go to court. So the security guard was awarded, get this, $11.89 million. God damn. So almost, let's round up, $12 million. That's a lot. Yeah. Now, I don't know what kind of damages he had, but the court said. That was my next question. Listen, the court said it was a lot. Now, according to
a reporter from The Athletic, Shiloh Sanders said he's filed bankruptcy because, of course, he does not have $12 million. So he said in his bankruptcy filing that he has a gross income of $193,713. That's nice. That's good. That's a good salary in 2023. And when he had to list his assets, which you have to do for a bankruptcy filing, he listed a 2023 Mercedes GLE. I feel like everybody got that car. I mean, it's very, in LA, like that is the car, right? God bless you. Worth $75,900. It's nice. Anyway.
You have got me.
I'm sorry.
Because I can name 4 people
that
right
have
now
it.
that have
It's I'm not being funny. Like that's a real thing. Dejan, that's the security guard, y'all. That's just leave me alone. He countered that his net worth was higher, of course, because he's trying to get his $12 million. That what was portrayed in the filing, he's saying that the graduate student transferred money into one of his LLCs, basically trying to hide some funds, which people do.
Move it around.
But I think who tried that? Tasha K? Didn't work. Okay. The judge wrote this.
Okay.
Right. Listen, and Cardi is actually not going to stop coming for it until she gets it.
Yep.
So. Get used to being broke, Tasha. All right. The judge in the case said this. This is interesting. The complaint contains sufficient allegations that Shiloh Sanders' companies function as his alter ego and that the corporate veils of the LLC should be pierced, which is a typical tactical. Basically, the judge said, give up the coin because we are not buying all this hustle, this shuffling and moving the money shit. It's you. We believe it to be you. Now make it available. The judge, however, did concede that the security guard faces a high burden of proof to demonstrate that all factors are there for trial in terms of finding grounds for the actual piercing of the veil. So this is standard bankruptcy shit. The ruling itself was a win for the security guard, but in terms of practice, like what's going to actually happen, it looks like that's going to favor Deion Sanders' son, Shiloh. The security guard has until June 27th to submit an amended complaint to the court. So that's what the judge is asking for, right, Dustin? The judge is saying, I buy your argument that he's moving some money and acting funny. What you still need to come back to court and prove to me is with specificity your access. So all of that is happening soon. Keep in mind, Shiloh is still in college. Technically, he's a grad student. So he is still going to have, frankly, a lot more money to make. So if I was the security guard, I wouldn't really be that bothered by it because your judgment doesn't expire. And as long as he continues to make more and more money, you'll always have access to it. Yeah. So this is like a dark cloud. I think my moral of this story is default judgments are severe. They're very difficult to undo. Trust me, because I've actually had to try to undo one before in my practice. And they follow you wherever you go. They follow you when you try to sell a house. They follow you when you try to get credit for anything. This comes up. So I think what Shiloh Sanders should do is when he gets in a decent financial position, so now he doesn't have to have $12 million, but when you get a few $100,000 that you can just say, go on to this security guard's lawyer and say, I'd like to make good on this debt. It's going to be a cold day in hell before your client gets $12 million from me. And he knows this and you know it too. Let me break your client off $225,000 and go on somewhere. That's how this should go down.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I'm on his side. I don't even know the details of the case. But
you on Shiloh's side? Probably because he cute. I don't know.
I ain't even seen him, but I just.
But I think we know he cute though.
And I done been in some situations with security guards where they have literally overstepped and
we saw that
too
stupid
much.
one on the Met, not the Met Gala, Cannes Festival red carpet.
I said they need to send somebody. We need. The way she was harassing the black talent on that steps, we just need the right. Kelly Rowland got her ass together.
She got her ass together, and then she turned around and did it the next day to the Latina woman.
She did.
And then she did it the next day. The Asian woman wasn't playing with her ass.
Oh, no, baby. She was like, let's get it on, bitch. I've been waiting on, I already know. Like, yeah. We need to send the task force up there, and the task force is Jasmine Crockett.
Okay.
Candy Burris' mama.
Yes, Mama Joyce.
Who else we know that'll handle it? Jocelyn Hernandez. We need some of them to go up those steps.
And old school Wendy Williams.
Back when she had her bearings.
That's it.
Okay? We need to send them up those steps to handle that security guard. But anyway, I just wonder what the situation was
that prompted Shiloh to have for some reason put hands.
I'm just inclined to be on Shiloh's side.
You know how we would have known that is if Shiloh had gone to court.
Took his ass to court. Shiloh.
Yeah. You know, I think sometimes, and I know this to be true because I've seen this in practice, Dustin. People think these court summons are a game. Mm-hmm. People think these subpoenas are a joke. Mm-hmm. People think these preliminary hearings are trial. Like, especially when it's civil. See, with criminal, it's different because if you don't show up, you're going to get a warrant for failure to appear, and you literally are going to get locked up. Mm-hmm. Like it's like that. With civil, out of sight, out of mind. Mm-hmm. So because they're not going to lock you up, you basically interpret that as no consequence. Mm-hmm. But especially when you do have some coin, like Tasha K is not broke. Mm-hmm. Like, she might not be broke at all, but she's going to be because you were playing with it. And now this civil judgment and this notion of like, a judgment is only worth the paper it's written on.
Baby, please.
First of all, baby, please. And two things. Number one, when you have something to lose. Now, if you are a true indigent and you really don't have shit, then that might be true for you.
Yeah.
That might be true for you. But when you have even something, I'm talking about your 10, 100,000 heirs. Mm-hmm. Oh, it means something. And you need to know that. And then when you've got someone on the other side of the judgment, like a Cardi B, or even in this case, the security guard, they're not forgetting.
Yep.
Because there's something more at stake here. It might be the money in the security guard's case. The court said I was right, and I'm going to execute that. Mm-hmm. Cardi is willing to spend more money on making you pay that judgment than the judgment itself.
Absolutely.
And she's made that clear.
It's important like that sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes you have to message to a person through your actions that there's a consequence for that.
And Cardi is setting a precedent because now we see Kevin Hart doing the same thing with Tasha K.
So we're going to see.
Indeed, we will. And that's it. And that's all, y'all, for this week's edition of Holding Court. Y'all, we will be right here, same time, same place next week, next Wednesday. Right. Y'all know how it is. Court will be back in session. In the meantime, y'all stay safe, keep the faith. And what you want the people to do?
Read your terms and conditions.
Holding Court is produced by Uppity Productions. Host and executive producers here, Eboni K. Williams, yours truly, and the Dustin Ross. Executive producer in Dossie, McCraw. We've also got our senior producer, Ashley Hobbs, creative consultant, Jay Kleinberg. And follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any and everywhere you get your podcasts.